obviously I mentioned ChatGTP at the beginning as well, and that's a tool that is going to be used more and more by marketers out there. And I think a great use of it in terms of producing your own podcast episodes is actually to determine what you should be talking about. And I think a lovely thing to do once you get comfortable, don't do this for the first 12 episodes, but once you get going, once you get a little bit more comfortable with what your podcast episodes look like, then start to decide on how your episode is going to evolve and what kind of questions are best to be leading the guest towards if you have a guest as well. And you can do that. I mentioned earlier on that if you search Google for a particular topic, then often within the search results, you'll get something that says people also asked. And that's a set of questions that relate to your original keyword phrase. And it's a great resource for perhaps what you can be talking about in relation to a particular topic. So you can take that content or your initial keyword phrase in terms of topic, what you're intending to talk about, and also put it into ChatGTP. So let me show you what I mean. So in also asked, if I typed in podcast for B2B brands, if I wanted to produce a podcast talking about a podcast for B2B brands, then it's suggesting that I should be talking about, do podcasts work for B2B? Is podcast a marketing strategy? Does content marketing work for B2B? So there are different questions that I don't necessarily have to include every question or even any question, but I think it's a good starting point to decide on what content you're going to incorporate in your episode and what questions you're going to ask your guests if you have guests on your show as well. And the chances are, if it's being recommended as a question here, that people are searching for it in places like Google and social media, and it gives you an opportunity to then take a clip from your podcast. So that's why I recommend as well recording on video as well. So you don't even necessarily have to publish the whole episode as video, but if you record on video, then you can take a section or multiple sections from your episodes and then create a square 1x1 video and publish those videos on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, places like that, answering specifically those long tail questions, and perhaps even YouTube as well, just focusing on the short tail questions. And you can do this in ChatGTP as well. So I asked ChatGTP, what topics should I include in my podcast episode about podcasting for B2B brands? And they've suggested topics like why podcasting, I say they, do we call ChatGTP in it or him or I'm struggling with that one.
Is it them?
Why podcast?
It could be a them.
It could be, yes. But we've got lots of wonderful topic suggestions there as well. So I think it's a nice thing to be trialing to incorporate into your episode planning process. Now, I've touched on some of this, so I'm not going to go into lots of detail, but I think 3 inches away is important to emphasize. This helps to de-reverb and de-echo what is being recorded. What is reverb? So reverb essentially happens when you're recording in an environment that has lots of open space or lots of big open walls, especially panels of glass, and your audio reflects off these big panels, and it creates a bit of an echoey environment. That's challenging to get rid of completely in post-production. We can reduce it to a reasonable degree, but obviously you need to record in an optimum environment, in an optimum position away from the microphone, and that is optimum. Avoid touching in plosives. So avoid touching your microphone. If you're doing things like that, that's a horrible noise for the listener, and that's hard to get out in terms of post-production, especially if you're doing it at the same time as you're talking. And you can quite easily do that. A lot of people are maybe a little bit nervous and they touch the microphone or they move about and they touch the capsule almost, and it's not a good sound for the listener. Number 3, use headphone jack in mic. So remember, if it's a Samsung QU microphone, plug your headphone jack in the bottom of that. And if you do that, then you can hear your own voice slightly as well. And that'll train you to use a microphone a little bit more effectively.